Hello and welcome to an extra special Thursday show of Quicc Gains, where I am joined by the ever smiley, fastest tweeter in the West, the North, the South, the East, everywhere in between. I'm pretty sure she actually out-tweets entire media departments single-handedly, and she giggles a lot. Making Sang, how are you?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm all right. I've demolished my snacks. There was 3 rice cakes in here, not anymore. So I am not exactly sugar rush, but I have at least got some rice cakes in my belly. So I'm good for the next hour. I don't need snacks. I'm all good. Your energy is going to be very much overloading me, I'm sure. But we're going to see how it goes.
Amazing.
I see you are donning the Be Heard and the hat. Is it cold?
And the hat. No, I just wanted to make you giggle.
Okay, fine.
Because I got this fabulous hat. Yeah, so I got this fabulous hat this year when we were allowed to go out and play. Do you remember those days, Dan? Do you remember
planes? Actually, to be fair, I remember planes and I remember airplane food not exactly agreeing with me and being poorly for a long weekend when I was in Wichita. I remember that. That wasn't fun. So I don't want to go out like that again.
But receiving this bubble hat from the fabulous Brie was in San Diego when we were both at Social Media Marketing World.
I'd have to have a word with her because we're supposed to be reserving those for special people. I'm kidding. I'd have given you a hat anyway. Do you want another one? We can send you one if you want.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I've actually been thinking, and for anyone watching, by the way, if you want any merch or free swag, that kind of stuff, I am very, very slowly twisting the arm of Mike, the CEO of Quicc, to get a number of pieces of swag created. So we're talking mugs, hoodies, more hats, and so on. So, question of the first, 2 minutes. If we create some swag, what is the swag that you actually want the most? That's what I want to know. Question to you, Making, and everyone else. Hoodies, mugs. I mean, I've got a Tube Buddy mug right here.
Yeah, the Tube Buddy mug is a lovely cuppa. So I do like my mugs. I do like books. Even though I am the fastest tweeter in the West, I do not want to lose the art of writing. So I do like to have notebooks. So if you happen to have a good old notebook.
Good old notebooks, okay.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I have also thought, this is one of my favourite things. All right.
What's that?
This is got the easy button. So when I do stuff that is really complicated, to sort of like massage my own kind of narcissistic kind of tendencies and my own ego, I press this little button, right?
Wow.
When I do that.
Yeah.
That was easy.
It does that.
Oh my word. That's amazing.
We had this conversation internally and I'm thinking FOMO creator as you are, we're going to talk about FOMO in a bit. FOMO creator as you are, we talked about this internally and I showed this button to the team and they were like, yeah, but how did you get those printed? And I was like, Alibaba, just like every Amazon seller does in general. You can get about 1,000 of them printed at a time for about 60 cents each.
Yeah.
Get a couple of demo units. I was like, it's going to cost you a couple of grand, maybe. But an entire, like, a few thousand unit batch of one of these things. And then descended into this conversation, which I know you're going to love, of what do you actually record? And I'm thinking, Jason saying, caption cat, done.
Nice.
Something completely random. That's what I'm thinking. But as a FOMO creator, what's your opinion?
Well, I think it's an incredible idea. And it's so funny because last year I went to a conference and when someone, when I'm in a conference and someone makes me laugh, it doesn't take much to make me laugh. But as you can hear, I giggle, but I've got a big belly laugh and people turn heads when I laugh, when I really get going. So this girl came up to me who was at the conference and she said, "Can I record your laugh?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." she recorded it. She bought a button, and whenever she's feeling a bit below, because she's an entrepreneur as well, so we have our roller coaster moment. So when she's feeling a bit sorry for herself, she'll actually push the button. It's me laughing my head off. So I reckon, as a FOMO creator, that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to go to Alibaba, like you said, because I do like Jack Ma, and record my laugh, put it on a button, and there you go. So we can swap buttons if you like.
So now I really want you to do one of your belly laughs. So right now, I got my phone up. Right? We're talking dad jokes right here. We're going to talk about FOMO in a minute. There's a point why we're talking about this, by the way. It's not like a comedy show. A fortune teller told me in 12 years' time, I'd suffer terrible heartache. So to cheer myself up, I went and bought myself a puppy. You don't get it, do you?
So bad. That is so bad. This is a sympathy laugh now.
See, I sold a vacuum cleaner today. All it was doing was collecting dust.
Oh!
What's the next one? I told my daughter, go to bed. The cows are sleeping in the field. She said, what's that got to do with anything? I said, it means it's past your bedtime.
Oh, no. I think we're going to have a buzzer.
No.
So if it's a funny one, you could record my laugh and it'll be, laugh, laugh, laugh. And then if it's a we'll have to have a family fortunes.
We can't do it on
buzzer.
cue then, can we? It's got to be spontaneous. Damn it. I thought dad jokes were going to be for the win. Apparently not. Oh, man, I'm so disappointed.
Anyway.
So, how do you create FOMO? That's what everyone wants to know. They don't want to know about dad jokes, even though I have got a slight mini obsession with them. But FOMO, how do you create FOMO and laughter just as we did? How do you do that? Come on, let's get serious for a second.
Right. So for those of you watching, listening, FOMO means the fear of missing out. Oh, it is a fabulous Chris Strubb. How are you?
It doesn't take much to make it laugh.
So FOMO means the fear. I feel like I'm watching the BBC. Oh, how lovely. Yes. So FOMO means the fear of missing out, and in a personal setting, we do look at other stuff on social media, and some of us may want to keep up with the Joneses, and we may think, look at our neighbours, look at our friends, they've got this, they've got that, they've got the other. Okay, so in a personal sense, I know people have said to me, FOMO, I don't want FOMO, I want JOMO, I want the joy of missing out, I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. But in a business sense,
so hang on, JOMO, I didn't even know JOMO was a thing.
You're not down with kids, Dan. JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Is that a thing? That sounds
it is a thing. It is a thing, yes. Okay. So
that's something new. Awesome.
Yeah, well, there you go. But in a business sense, you don't want the joy of people missing out in your business. Oh, no. You want to create FOMO. You want to create buzz and excitement so that people, lurkers, because your prospects and your potential clients and people who've heard of you for the first, second, third time, the lurkers, they're watching you and they are, looking at your stuff. Now, if they get really exhilarated, thrilled, excited about your thing that you're doing and what you're up to, they'll get FOMO. And if they are seeing lots of, client testimonials or people saying, oh my God, this is amazing, then they will want your product, your service, your challenge, your business, tickets for your next conference. And we have the fabulous Lenka Kopover there. Lenka is amazing. She had the Cambridge Social Media Day. Like it's not as easy to make us stop laughing. That's exactly right. So you've got
we've been getting trolled by Chad as well, by the way.
Hey Chad, how you doing? Lenka had just finished Cambridge Social Media Day. absolutely amazing. You were a speaker, of course. And if lurkers have seen Cambridge social media, they've seen a lot of their posts and they were still thinking, oh, shall I buy a ticket? Shall I not buy a ticket? And if they see attendees, speakers, sponsors breaking the internet saying, oh my God, I just heard this speaker speak. Oh my God, Cambridge social media was amazing. Oh my God, Shifties were so good. Oh my God, it was a virtual conference, but it felt like I was there. If you see all of this stuff, then your lurkers will think, I've missed out there. I'm going to have to buy the tickets for the next year. That's what a FOMO creator does. So with Lenka and at other conferences, I create live FOMO. Okay, so I create live content, and for Quicc last year at Cambridge Social Media Day, I tweeted on your account on behalf of yourself and Cambridge Social Media Day, and on my own account as well. So I was tweeting away. I think I did about 1,200 tweets or something like that across all the 3 accounts. We reached about 7 million people. And because I was tweeting on your account, we had, 15% of the people in the conference took up on your beta.
They did.
They did. And that is what FOMO is all about. It's about creating live content, real, raw, right now, put it out on the internet, break the internet so that people who are lurking, who are not there, will think, oh my God, what is this thing? I need to book on it. Or if they're actually there and they see the content, they think, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to have to go next year. That's what a FOMO creator does.
You actually came up in a conversation yesterday. So
Did I really?
Yes, you did. And not in a bad way. Always in a good way. It was Jason, Mike and I had a live stream we did this same time actually yesterday,
right?
Talking about the new product launch that Quicc have rolled out this week. And
hi Mike, hi Jason.
Hi guys. One of the things I actually mentioned was that I remember in San Diego back in like March time with the social media marketing world, and I was watching the leaderboards, and there was this big dashboard up on like big screens up in the convention center.
Yeah.
And I remember watching over the course of the days of the conference, and I remember thinking like, what? How's that? What am I doing that? Because the leaderboard, if you imagine, it was this analytics platform, which was one of the sponsors. They were tracking all of the tweets related to the event. And there you were at the top of that leaderboard, above actual brands who have actual teams kind of creating all the social content. I'm like, she's beating brands, not individuals, she's beating brands. And not even by a little bit. She's like, they're doing a couple of hundred. She's into the thousands.
Yeah, yeah.
And you did put pretty much some large brands. I won't name names because they might be upset. But you put a lot of actual brands to shame, basically by your phone. And when I asked you about it, I remember you said, well, I just worked. As if it was like the most normal thing in the world. And then when I mentioned it to the other brands were like, we got other things to do. I was like, oh, really? Okay.
But our dear friends who, you had a promotional bus there, and we had a lot of fun on your bus in conjunction with Content Cal. So Chad hasn't tweeted 1,200 times since joining Twitter. That's amazing.
Yep. I'm having lunch. That's Chad's
so Andy from Content Cal, he hired me for a bit at the time, and so I tweeted, on my own account, and I also tweeted on behalf of Content Cal, and managed to get him on the leaderboard as well. So, and it's a bit of excitement, but it's a bit more publicity for Content Cal or whoever hires me. And in fact, when I was on the leaderboard, the people who had the stats board, Metricool, they actually said, can you come over to our stand and we'll have a bit of a chat? So I went over, and there were 2 girls there, and they were looking at the leaderboard. So I thought I'd crack a joke. I said, do you recognise anyone look familiar up there, number 1? And they looked
kick you off the stand.
No, they looked at each other, they looked at the board, and they said, you did 13, I don't know, I think it was 1,256 tweets. You did that? And I said, yeah. And they said, okay, we need to talk. and I got a prospect there and then, and we were in discussions. COVID happened, so unfortunately they had to stop the conference, but we're still in discussions. So that's how you can create FOMO for yourself. And it's not exclusive to Twitter, actually. For a conference that I did last year, I tweeted, I went on their Facebook Live, I went on Instagram stories on Instagram as well, and created all this buzz and excitement. And, as a result of, I think we reached 28 million people on the same day as International Women's Day. And with my 15 Facebook Lives, I think it was, and, various stories, this, that, and the other, they sold 425 tickets within a week for their conference for this year. So that's what FOMO is. And so, my tagline is FOMO creator, building the bridge, building the gap between social media and PR. So if you haven't done, can you do a close-up flexing of your two fingers for us?
We are definitely getting troubled by Chad. Chad, behave.
Yes. So what was I going to say? So yes, if you haven't got a great social media presence, if you don't have, relationships with journalists, radio, TV, national magazines, local magazines, if you've got no marketing presence, then FOMO can only work to a certain level, and it depends on your goal. So, you can create FOMO to build a bit of a name for yourself, to build your brand. If you've got a brand already online and you've got a goal to, get people onto your challenge, then yes, FOMO can definitely assist with that. If you've got a goal to sell tickets for your next conference, then yes, FOMO can definitely help with that. And so, yeah, that's basically what I do.
But what if you don't? So what if your social presence is quite small? What if you're, say if you're one of the many, many businesses that have been, quite dramatically impacted by the past year, and you had to go from like in-person or face-to-face marketing and kind of business growth, and all of a sudden you had to flip and your social channels are not remotely what you would like them to otherwise be. How can you use FOMO to really level up that?
So it has to work in conjunction with a marketing strategy. So yeah, I mean, I actually worked with a lady who had to pivot her business. And so she actually had a challenge. I would love to see a course on creating FOMO with your spouse.
I'm questioning.
Is that an inside joke? Or
I have no idea. Fear of missing out with your spouse. I mean, is he shuffling around? I've met his wife. I would be scared if I were him.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yes. In fact, Chad's invited me to be on his show next year. I'm his first guest for 2021, so I feel honoured and privileged. Absolutely chuffed to bits with that. So, so this lady, she had a challenge, and it's to inspire her community that if they needed to pivot their business because of what's happening at the moment, what can we do? So, Melissa Love from Marketing Fix, she had a challenge. It was a 3-4 day challenge, and she brought in some guest speakers to help inspire on how to pivot, what you need to do, the strategies in place, and so on. And then at the end of the challenge, she opened it up so that if people wanted to join her membership, opened it up for people who were sitting on the fence, really. So and she did that because she knew that she had to pivot her business ever so slightly, and she knew that some of her members might be struggling. So she's an incredible lady, and she did that. So in conjunction with a marketing strategy that she had to get people to the challenge, I created live FOMO for her. So I actually went into her Facebook group and I interviewed her. I listened to the speakers. I did some live tweeting. I converted the tweets into a LinkedIn post to put onto her account. I also did a bit of Instagramming as well, this, that, and the other. And as a result of that, she managed to get some members. And it was because it was a concentrated period in which we were going to get people educated about what she was doing, how she was pivoting, inspiring others of how they've pivoted, and then open up the membership to get people to to join, which was incredible. So so I've done that for quite a few people actually who've got challenges this year, because of the fact that we're not allowed to play anymore for the time being. People are starting to do challenges, or they're selling courses, or it's forced people to build courses, or start memberships, and that's how I've been able to create FOMO for some of them.
And I mean, right now let's face it, there is a lot of people who are pivoting online. There is a lot of people who are doubling down online, and it's in an incredibly or increasingly noisier place than it used to be. So I mean, like you say, really kind of getting that message out there with a little bit of authority, with a little bit of influence, is never going to be a bad thing, because I mean, how the hell are you going to stand out otherwise? It's the worst thing you can be. And funny enough, one of the things I talked about in the talk I gave at Cambridge Social Media. So many days. One of the things I talked about was thumbnails, because we're talking about YouTube. And I gave an example of a particular search term. And I was like, if you look at all of these thumbnails for this particular search term, and they all either had orange backgrounds or blue backgrounds. And I was like, do you think I'm going to create a thumbnail that is orange or blue? Or am I going to do one that's like a bright pink or a bright yellow, or like even like a bright white with like bright pink or bright yellow text on it? Am I going to make something that stands out from the crowd? Because if I make one that looks the same, I'm just going to look the same. And why would I do that? Because, but I think you have to look at the lay of the land, I think, to start with, and just find out how you can stand out. And not many companies or businesses that I see actually do that.
No, I think in marketing, if you're in the social media marketing bubble, then we are the leaders in this field. We know what it is we're doing, and we've been saying what needs to be done. So according to Facebook, 85% of videos are watched with the sound off. Hence, Quicc, you need their tool, right? Be heard. And people, you've been saying it for a long time, and people in the social media marketing world have been saying it for a long time. There are still a lot of businesses out there who are, haven't migrated from Facebook to the other platforms. And then there are other people who think, oh, there's TikTok, now I need to do that. And there's Twitter, and there's Instagram, and there's LinkedIn, and they're doing absolutely everything and doing absolutely nothing well at all. So, even to do video is such a massive hurdle for people, even though we've been saying it for years. So what was Chad saying there? With the increased traffic online.
Yeah, Chad's been saying a few things.
Right. With the increased traffic online these days, how do you continue to create FOMO while so many are beginning to feel burnt out?
To what you were just saying.
Yeah. Like you say, choosing that different thumbnail will help you stand out from the rest. And it is doing those little things that are different. So, this year, obviously, since lockdown, I haven't been able to go to face-to-face conferences, but there's still a lot of virtual conferences that are happening. But then there are also businesses who don't have a challenge, they don't have a course, they don't have a conference, but they can still create FOMO for themselves as well. And it's a case of, I've been doing social media for my own business for over 10 years, and then started doing it for other people, was a social media manager for a while. Then I went into live tweeting, and then became FOMO creator. So I've sort of done the whole 9 yards for over 10 years now. So, for small businesses, you need to review, if things aren't working and you need to pivot a little bit, you need to review your social media, you need to review your marketing, figure out what's working, what's not, and do more of what's working. So for me, what's working right now is interviews. And so I've been able to give, interviews with small businesses to talk about who it is, who they service, And it's a nice way to get into video, because some people are so scared of doing video. Well, that's okay. I'll hold your hand. And so doing an interview, and it's really funny. After doing the interview, people have really enjoyed it and said, "Oh, can we do it again?" Because it's easier to talk to someone else about your business, and suddenly they forget that the video is on, and so they're able to talk about the business, and suddenly they're scared of the camera. They're no longer scared of the camera. We add captions on top of that. They get more visibility. And also because I've got a few thousand followers here on this, platform, that platform, I really want to help small businesses. So I'll put them onto my channels as well to give them a bit more publicity. So, that's what you can do. Review your marketing, see what works. Get someone to review it for you. There's a lot of social media strategists and consultants, me if you want to, and we can help you to figure out, what you need to do to try and pivot.
I mean, one example actually that Chad gave, he doesn't just troll us; he does actually say some helpful stuff as well. So just earlier, you were saying about talking about being a guest on his show, and they haven't scheduled me in yet. So, and basically, you just FOMO'd me, because I've got to admit, I did think at the time, I was like, Chad, we know each other. Like, you're my bro. I was like, what? How come May's making on the show already and I'm not? Which he then had to follow up with, message me later because we do want to have you on. Why have you not spoken to me yet? So that's like the very definition of FOMO. Because I'm thinking, have I done something to offend you? So
that's what? FOMO, folks. Now, Chad, if we are going to get on, my name is May King. So, just like, it's very confusing for people, I know, and they want to shorten my name, but I insist on making, because it's part of my marketing, because I am making FOMO, making tea, making coffee, making chocolate.
I know this. I know this. So, did you say what you were on the first? You weren't on the first show, were you? The second show?
No, the first show of next year.
Okay, I think you're going to be on the second show. Right? Is there actual feedback coming from the microphone with the laughter here? Oh yeah, Chad says my shows, my rules. That's true. Okay, fine. Ooh, I reckon we should do like a quad thing, like me, May King, you, maybe your wife, and you can explain the other comment you made earlier.
Like the Brady Bunch.
So I am curious though. How did you, I mean, I know you mentioned earlier that you did some social media management, and Chad says that she FOMO'd me and then she guilted. So you did social media management.
Yes.
But where did the FOMO thing come from? Because I've got to admit, you are my favorite FOMO creator, but you're also the only one I know. So
I'm the only one. I am the only one. And
where did that even come from?
Where did it come from? Well, it was because I actually pitched for the first time. Like, I've always done my business with inbound leads and referrals and so on. But I braved the waters for the first time, and I pitched to Andrew and Pete last year. And I said, would you like
those.
Yes, we love Andrew and Pete. And I said, would you like a professional live tweeter for Atomicon 19? And they went, no, but can you do Facebook and Instagram as well? And I went, yeah, sure, of course. Like any entrepreneur, you say, yes, worry about the details later. And that was it. And
did you then go out and buy like a Instagram and LinkedIn social media for dummies books or something?
Yeah.
Did you know how to even do it?
I had an Instagram account. I faffed around with it, so I thought, I better do a bit of homework. But I knew in my hearts of hearts of what I wanted to do. And I love Andrew and Pete because they just gave me the creative freedom. They said, just go and do what you do, And back then I called myself professional live tweeter and social media reporter. And of course, it's too long. And it was Andrew who came up with the name FOMO Creator. And I thought, oh my God, I love that, because it is. I create FOMO. If it all makes you feel better, you'll both be on before 100 feet.
Yep. I'm down with that.
Amazing. So it was actually Andrew who came up with the name FOMO Creator, because I had this real long-winded name to help describe what it is I do. But they completely understood what I did. And yeah, as I say, last year it was 1,200 tweets and 15 Facebooks on whatever. And this year, because it was a virtual conference, they said, let's not tweet so much, but let's give FOMO on the content that you put out there. So it was a different strategy this time. And it's still, and again, they gave me the full creative freedom. I took over their accounts. I went on Instagram, went on Facebook Live, and every day I went in their Facebook Live and I sort of cheered people up and I said, hey, how you doing? And I was, letting people know what was happening with Atomic Fringe, and just engaging with the people who were joining in, and just that buzz and excitement, and sort of recapping what happened the day before with some of the speakers. The reporting aspect of it is something that I do. I really, really enjoy, because I think between me and you and the internet, Dan, I think I wanted to be a chat show host, and my mum said, no, go get a proper job. So I watched Wogan, I watched Graham Norton, Jonathan Ross, but I studied them technically. Mrs. Merton, I don't know if you remember Mrs. Merton. And I studied
them. Not that old. How old do you think I am?
So yeah, I studied them technically as well as enjoyed their interviews and stuff. And I think that I've created my own kind of way of interviewing people. So that's all part of the FOMO.
The niche down, you've definitely taken to heart, haven't you? It's like, screw a niche, I'm just going to make up a name.
It took me a while, though, for one of my marketing friends who's been in the industry for 30 odd years. He said, you are the world's #1 FOMO creator, because there's no one who, there's no one around. And I don't have the gall to put on my socials the #1 FOMO creator in the world, but I put the UK, that'll do.
Do you know what? If you did put that, I would support you. I would actually refer to you as the number, because honestly, you're the most tweetable or tweeting or tweeter. You're the highest. I don't even know what the phrase is. You are the highest tweeting person who I know.
Yeah.
And I know people around the world, so
Shall I do that then? Shall I change it? I don't know.
Give yourself permission to do the thing. Live that impossible dream. Do it.
Well, you know what was funny? Yesterday, there was the Social Pulse Summit by our dear friends Agora Pulse, and it was the Twitter edition. And Mike Alton, who's the brand evangelist, it's true, making is the best at her job. I blocked Andrew and Pete until she started tweeting about them.
But then, to be fair, apparently in Andrew and Pete's defense, they actually said no to come into the show. But we do actually have a slightly serious question from Mike, who's the CEO of Quicc.
Right.
Why is Twitter your platform of choice? And he says to keep laughing because it keeps the rest of us laughing too. Mike probably sat there just giggling to himself, like watching his phone, thinking like, at what point are you going to say something really inappropriate that's going to like spike my HR spidey sense and make me want to click like end broadcast?
So I'll just sort of finish off my story because hopefully it'll encourage me to put the world's #1 FOMO creator. So so Agora Pulse, they had a summit yesterday. I spoke there and I also live tweeted for them, and they announced to the summit before their opening keynote that they've got a Twitter competition, but they've actually taken out the competition because May King is actually tweeting on behalf of Agora Pulse, so you've got a chance of winning. Which I thought was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. But to answer Mike's question, why Twitter? It's the funniest thing, Mike. When I first got into business, and I did actually have a tea business, so I'm on all the socials as making tea.
I do love your tea.
I do love my tea. And I was doing, a bit of Google research, how to run a successful business. And Twitter came into my radar first before Facebook, which came a year later. And I can talk for England, as you can clearly see. So I thought, how am I going to be able to get my message across in 140 characters? But I just worked really hard with it, and I persisted. And it really helps me to get focused with my message. That's why. And I love it for that. I also love Twitter because up to 5% of your tweets get indexed. So if you want to get onto page one of Google, then there's no point doing stuff on Instagram or Facebook because Google and Facebook are in competition with each other. So, if you were to Google yourself, and I'm sure, Dan, you would Google yourself from time to time, do you?
Do you know what? Actually, this is like a bugbear of mine, right? Like, I genuinely mean this. It irritates the hell out of me, and I nearly swear whenever I talk about it because it does irritate me that much. There is a number of Dan and Daniel Holloways out there. Right. And I was talking to Rob from TubeBuddy, Rob Balasabas.
Yes.
And he was like, but when I Google my name, it just on the first one in the search results. And I was like, yeah, because your name is Rob Balasabas.
Balasabas.
It's like you don't know anyone else called your name. If you Google my name, there's an entrepreneur guy who also has like a bald head and a bit of a beard. We look a little bit alike, I guess, from a distance. We probably could be relatives. It's really irritating. I don't even know him. But he's one of these kind of like sales and affiliate kind of style, travels around the world, sells someone else's program, how to be like a 7-figure business, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And he kind of like gets a kickback from that. He's one of those affiliate people.
Okay.
There's a guitarist who plays like some kind of sort of guitar music. I don't know, southern, western, like northern, I have no idea, but he plays guitar.
Right.
There's an admiral in the US Navy. There's like 3 or 4 different authors. So when you search my name, nothing comes up. Like even like on like LinkedIn or like any of the other platforms.
Yeah.
When you Google my name, I'm on like page 5 or something stupid.
Oh.
So I'm like, personal brand wise, I'm competing with another entrepreneur, guitarists, authors, US Navy admirals. I'm like, what?
Well,
how do I even get that?
Well, you're going to have to talk to your SEO company, do more on YouTube, of course, do some stuff on Twitter and LinkedIn. Twitter, LinkedIn. But yeah, that's why I like Twitter.
Sorry.
Why?
Because I actually pretty much never tweet.
What? Get out! Get out of my show.
It gets worse. It does actually get worse. So I spend most of my time on Instagram. Well, I've got like 700 or so followers on there, and I just like Instagram's kind of like my place just to like share random stuff.
Okay.
My businessy kind of stuff is on LinkedIn, where I've got about 12,000, 15,000 connections, something like that. So that's not bad. Mm-hmm. Although it irritates me because I just get like DM'd loads of sales pitches the whole time, and it just annoys me. So I don't spend a huge amount of time there, less and less.
Yep.
On Twitter, however, I never go on there unless someone tags me in something, and I just like basically click like and then click retweet, and that's basically the extent of it. But I've got about 10,000 followers on there.
How do you manage that?
I have no idea.
Is that because they think you're the entrepreneur or the guitarist or the?
I mean, I spent many years in like private equity and venture capital kind of worlds. And I mean, I've had this Twitter account for years. I mean, literally like over a decade. And just over time, I mean, at one point there was like 14, 15,000, and then all of a sudden it dropped by a couple of thousand, I'm guessing, because they kind of just filtered out loads of fake followers and everything. Yep. But I've got quite a huge number of followers on there, but I'm never on it because I don't get it. I'm like, wow, what do I? Give me a crash course in Twitter, because I genuinely have like no clue.
So Twitter is the place of breaking news, and
I'm not that cool. I don't have news of the breaks. I just finished some rice cakes. Who wants to retweet me?
But it's also the place when you're at a conference, right? So I actually delivered a training course to a virtual conference that had, some series of sponsors, and you'll have seen this before. You're at a conference and you're sponsoring an event, and you're waiting for people to come to you. And if you're lucky, people might come and collect a flyer or a button that they can press or whatever merch that you've got. Okay. But they might just come, for the freebies. They might be polite enough and talk to you for about 2-3 minutes. Okay. But then the onus is on them to actually, pick up your freebies and stuff, look through the stuff and maybe talk to you. Okay. So you could be easily forgotten. Now, you could at a conference, have your name plastered in all the marketing material, which is great. That's the traditional way of marketing. That's amazing. But you can create FOMO on top of that by getting involved in the conversations. When people are at a conference, especially a really active conference, okay, you will get attendees who are listening to the speakers and they're tweeting. So if you as a sponsor get involved in that, you don't need to say, oh, and hey, I've got 15% off, if you register now. None of that. Just talk to people like you are a person, and you're sharing great value as well, sharing great information by tweeting. Okay. That's how you sort of get into the minds of the people who are attending. That's how you get into the minds of people who are lurking. That's how you get into the minds and how you actually sort of stand out against the crowd as well. So that's why, companies hire me to tweet. That's why they hire me to create content, because you guys are probably there at the stand, talking to people, but you haven't got time to, do the social media. And, there's a lot of companies who will, attend a conference and they'll do social media. They'll maybe do a post in the morning, maybe something for lunch, something in the evening. What about all the way through? If people can see your name all over the shop on Instagram, on Facebook or on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and, some people might write a blog post like 3 or 4 days later. You want to be in people's minds. That's how you create FOMO, just by blasting loads of great content, not just any content, not just, register with me now and all that kind of stuff. But having a good time. But you having a good time, you sharing great information, you engaging with people, make stars of the people who come to your stand, and you've got great content there. If you're, when you're at a conference and people have been asking questions, you could do a little vox pop and, and ask people about, thoughts on video, or if you've got some questions, garnering people's opinions. So
is that another term I just learned?
Every day's a school day.
so yes. What?
It's garnering people's opinions. I don't know what it stands for, but I think it's like a TV term. So you'll have like a roving mic, and you'll go around the crowd and you ask people. So that's what I did when I was at Social Media Marketing World. I would go around with my mic and I'll sort of talk to people and so on, and it's just great content. That is great content. When you're sponsoring an event, people coming to you, asking questions, that is great content that you can put out there right there and then and now. So hopefully that will help you understand why I love Twitter so much, because, you can, first of all, like I said, up to 5% of your tweets are indexed. And if you do video, oh, well, there you go. And if you do video, even better. But all the content that you may put on Instagram and all the content that you put on Facebook does not register on Google at all. It will say you've got a Facebook page. It'll say you've got an Instagram account. That's it. And some of the stuff that you write on LinkedIn may appear on Google, but nothing else.
So what kind of content on Twitter is indexed on Google? Is it videos? Is it the text? Is it your actual main page? I mean...
Yeah, it'll be your tweets. It'll be the tweets that you've put out there. So, yeah. So
if I did YouTube videos, posted those onto Twitter, and created people to conversations, everything talking about that content with a link to the video, then that will potentially get indexed and further reinforce and support the whole personal brand thing.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. How do I hire you on a monthly retainer? Just out of interest. There's about 10,000 followers to start with, so it's not like I'm going in cold. Honestly, if you were the narcissist in me does actually want to kind of just have Dan Holloway entered into Google and it's like, bing me, bing me.
It's me. Bye-bye, guitarist. Bye
screw
bye,
everyone else. I
affiliate
was like,
marketer.
yeah, it's like you got what 1,000 followers and subscribers on your YouTube channel. I don't care. It's like get down there. Semi-serious question, by the way. We'll have to talk later. Because it's been irritating me for years. I'm not an egotist, honest. So shall we talk about Twitter, obviously?
Sure.
We've talked about that for a bit. What about the other platforms? I mean, you've got the Instagrams of the world. You've got, stories, reels, TikToks. If Twitter is like the broadcasting platform, and obviously that would lend itself to the whole kind of like document, don't create kind of like way of creating a personal brand. A bit of like Gary V going on there. But how would you create FOMO on like the more bingeable content type of style platforms like Instagram Reels and TikToks? How would that work?
Oh, I mean, I've created FOMO just on Instagram for some, some of my clients, or just LinkedIn. I haven't touched Twitter for some of my clients at all. So, I mean, it's whatever you are doing. Like I think when I delivered a talk yesterday about how to harness live tweeting and to generate FOMO for your business, and one of the slides that was tweeted the most was when I said, "Don't be British about it," because what you were giving me permission to say that I'm the #1 FOMO creator in the world,
because obviously my opinion matters.
That's right. But I think it's about 3 years ago, I listened to a speaker and he gave me permission to boast about what I do. And it was a quote from Muhammad Ali that said, "It ain't bragging if you can back it up." And so I can say that I've tweeted on average 1,200 tweets a day at a face-to-face conference. I tweet on average 550 tweets a day at a virtual conference. And I can say that because I've got the reports and stats to prove it. So with Instagram, we need to stop being British about it. We need to tell the world what we've done. We need to get those testimonials from people to tell the world about, there's nothing more powerful than other people saying how amazing you are rather than you telling the world how amazing you are. And quite often on Instagram, you will get people who, say about how amazing I am. This is what I've done, this, that, and the other. But on top of all the polished posts and stuff, why don't you share a bit of an insight into what you do? There's a lady, Rachel, I keep wanting to call her Stevens, and it's not Stevens. Oh my goodness, what's she called? Spencer, Rachel Spencer. That's it, not X Club 7. And she helps pet businesses get more PR. Okay, so she can get them to talk to journalists, newspapers, radio stations, and so on, right? And she creates her own FOMO. Did you say Brits are humble?
We're humble, we're modest, we're very relaxed. It's just how we are.
So Rachel, she creates her own FOMO, and she is not British about it. And she will tell, on Instagram, the success that she has had, so she will, talk about her podcast and the interviews that she's had. She'll talk about it on Instagram. She literally did one photograph of printed workbooks and mentioned that this workbook is what my members are going to receive when they join the membership. That one photograph, that one Instagram post created 2 members. 2 people signed up on the strength of that Instagram post because she created FOMO. She showed behind the scenes of what her members are going to get. And she does a lot of behind the scenes stuff to showcase, not just the success that she's had for business owners, but actually walking through and educating people on this, that, and the other. And I think all too often, I see a lot of business owners who will post something on social media after the fact. The polished bit, the filtered bit, the pretty bit. What about the deep, dirty, the bit without the fear? Exactly. Yep. So you know, when I say that she created FOMO and she had 2 members join up on the strength of that one Instagram post, it's not really true. What actually happened is that those 2 members were probably lurking on her stuff for a while, and then something tipped them over. They probably saw the quality, the thickness of that workbook and thought, you know, I'm going to sign up. So that is what FOMO is about. It's about showing behind the scenes, not showing everything. You can't show everything. Hold something back, but show a little bit about, you know, deep and dirty, and, you know, and it's okay to say that you failed, or it's okay to say, oh, you know, I've had a bit of a rubbish day today or whatever, you know, because as you know, entrepreneurial life it is a roller coaster, isn't it? It is up and down. It's not easy.
Not for everyone. So, I mean, I do it. I mean, I'm contracted with Quicc as the CMO. I have my own business as well, as you know, and I mean, when I talk about my business to my wife, and if it's like the good months, she's like, "Yay, well done, babe! You've done really well. Yeah, fantastic. Can we have dinner now?" Kind of thing. So you're going to buy me something pretty. She goes, "I like diamonds, remember?" You know, she'll say stuff like that, and she actually genuinely does. And she's like, "Are you going to buy me something pretty?" They're normally her exact words. And I'm like what? And she goes, "Use your imagination. Make sure it's not pink." And I'm like, okay, thanks, love you too. And she goes, love you too. That's how the conversations go when things are going well, right? But then there are always those months where the things aren't so great. And there's always, you let's face it, you have problems with sales don't quite kind of like come through when you expect them to. You have some customers kind of like just flip, and a relationship you thought was solid turns out not to be. You have kind of competitors, there's security stuff, there's people like fraudulently taking your IP, there's all sorts of stuff that goes on. And when that kind of stuff happens, she's like, babe, I love you, but don't talk to me about work. I'm like, what do you mean don't talk to me about work? She's like, you're sparking off my anxiety, I don't want to know. It's just like I can't understand why you do what you do,
but
because she's not built the way we are.
This is why, you don't need to talk to your wife about the rubbish stuff. You need to talk to other people. And that's why we need business owners around us to who we can talk to, But I think that, I mean, you've been in business for a long time, since before social media. I think we were supposed to have that polished, look. We could hide behind our logo. Yeah. There was that alpha male, hey, you can, make $1 million in 3 days if you do this 6-step plan. And, and you still get the people who, sort of advertise to us right now. And because we live in this instant gratification world where we want everything done yesterday, we are caught up with that. A lot of people are caught up with that. But with social media, the people who are the ones who are successful, the ones that work, are the ones that do show the ups and the downs.
Yeah,
I
totally agree with that.
I think hopefully people are starting to realize that entrepreneurship is hard. It's not about learning the blueprint, six bullet point plan, and then you're a millionaire in 3 days. Yeah.
Well done. Smoothed over.
And all that kind of stuff. And I think that, I'm inspired by people who, are more successful than me, and they just show a little bit of vulnerability. It inspires me, and, like with COVID, like we all did, we all had a bit of a blip, I'm sure, and we regrouped and so on. And I was, I had the SADs for a bit. And when I was coming out of it, I actually wrote a post and I put it on all the platforms. And what was lovely was that it inspired other people. Other people thought, oh my God, I can't believe that you feel like that, making the way that you laugh and so on. Other people were like, I really needed to hear that, thank you. Other people, reached out who I haven't spoken to in ages and said, let's have a chat, which was lovely. I don't bang on about it. People don't want to, hear about my depression and perimenopause and, and all that kind of stuff. Don't need to know all about that. But it's okay to actually mention it just now and again, because not everything is all, roses and stuff. And it's important for us to do that, to show that.
I mean, funny enough, it's another thing I did actually talk about. I mean, you and I are on such the same wavelength on a lot of stuff.
You got the same T-shirt.
We do. My beanie hat is actually, so bubble hat, it's actually at home. It's not in the studio. But one of the things I talked about was, because obviously I was giving a talk about YouTube and how to start, grow and scale a YouTube channel. But I was like, when you first start on YouTube, it's all about search, creating searchable content, because people go to YouTube to search for answers to questions. They don't go there to watch your travel vlog because they don't even know who you are. But I was explaining that when you're creating the answers or videos, which are the answers to the questions, that's great. But you need to seed in certain elements of your personality in there so they can actually start building that relationship with you.
Yep.
I can have to cough. And they have to start building a relationship with you. But I was like, don't just throw in any old stuff about, like what you had for lunch or whatever. Just actually be honest. Talk about the fact that, lockdown has been really tough. Talk about the fact that, having to learn how to homeschool children, as I had to, very, very last minute, was probably one of the most stressful things I had to do this year, because I have no idea how to educate a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. None. How do you even do that?
Yeah.
And I had to learn that kind of stuff. I was like, you don't have to, in a 3-minute video, you don't have to talk about that stuff the whole time, but just drop in a 3-second snippet about you and your personality, and you'll start building that relationship with people. But if you don't, then why are they going to come back to you? They're not going to know you. And it's like you say, it's okay to do that.
It is absolutely okay to do that. Yeah. And in fact, we're humans, we fail. I mean, the other day I actually had a bowl of noodles for lunch, and
hang on, what flavour?
They're Chinese noodles. I think they were pork flavour.
Okay.
But I had a tin I had a tin of Spam. And I added it, and I took a photograph, and I sent it to my partner. And he said, you should put that on social media. And I didn't, because a tin of Spam actually took me to a place I didn't want to go to. But I'm going to share it with you guys, because,
It's in my Instagram, my LinkedIn inbox, because that's full of spam. You can take whatever spam from there you want.
That's exactly right.
Littered with it.
So the tin of Spam took me to my 40th birthday, and my 40th birthday, before my 40th birthday, well, I was in Australia, unexpectedly divorced, fighting an immigration battle, and for 6 months I was down to one meal a day, which is noodles. And on my 40th birthday, I had just enough money to buy a tin of Spam, and it was the most enjoyable bowl of noodles and Spam. Oh my God, I'm going to get emotional here. It was the most enjoyable meal that I'd had in, 6 months, 9 months and stuff. And I was giggling to myself, party of one. And that's where that tin of Spam took me, and this was 6-7 years ago. You think I've gotten over it by now, but no, apparently not. And my partner said, you should put that on social media. And I could have, I just wasn't there yet, but so we don't, sometimes we have to be comfortable with what we put out there, but we don't have to bang on about stuff. Do you know what I mean? But it really does. It can help. If it can help that one person, then that's your job done. I mean, my reason for being in business is to make an impact with everybody who comes into contact with me. So whether they read, they're liking my stuff, they're watching my video, they're laughing at me, laughing with me, my tweets, my Instagram posts, my website when I eventually get it done. If I've made an impact on that one person, then that's my job done.
Words of wisdom right there. I say this all the time, but that is the very definition of being an entrepreneur, isn't it? You're a problem solver, and your business exists to solve problems for other people. If you can, like you say, if you can do that for one person, that's great. If you can do it for 100,000 people, still great.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I like that. We normally like to keep these to about an hour, by the way.
Yes.
So how we tend to wrap these up
Oh.
is, don't worry, it's not scary. We ask words of wisdom. So parting words of wisdom. And it feels like you already did it. Just then. But parting words of wisdom from Making Sang. That's how you say her name, by the way, Chad. Just so you know. Parting words of wisdom. What would they be?
Well, I wanted to find the quote because I always get it wrong, and I don't want to do it any justice. You know what I mean? Do it justice. Yeah. Maya Angelou. And I'm gonna mess it up.
You can paraphrase.
People will forget. People will forget what you did. People will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I just want to make everybody feel amazing.
I think you got it right, by the way.
Sorry?
I think that was pretty much accurate.
Oh, did I? Oh, good. Yay.
Yes. That's how I remember it, at least, pretty much verbatim. It's very true. Very, very good point to end on, I reckon. So, thank you very much for joining. You have been an awesome guest, as always. Giggly, as always. I will have to speak to you about hiring on a retainer to build my personal brand and get me #1 in Google for my own name. So that is definitely on the cards to happen. You and Bree can do like an SEO FOMO kind of style powerhouse thing going on, the two of you, and just feed my ego. That'd be awesome. So thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have an extra super special guest, which I will have to tell you about later because I forgot who they were. I haven't really forgotten who they are. It's just they're a surprise. So I know it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know this person as well as everyone else who we've had on the show. So it could go really, really well. It could go really, really badly. Who knows? We'll see. But thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, Chris, Lenka, Mike, Jason, Chad, of course. Thank you for all your lovely comments. It was lovely to see you all.
Have a good afternoon, good morning, good day, whatever time in the world it is for you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.